Wanting to take a step back from the modern world's overstimulating approach to food, I decided to only eat one ingredient per meal for an entire week. What would I learn about food and what drastic changes would happen to my body in just this short amount of time? Let's find out, but you gotta focus. Rules: only one ingredient per meal. There must be at least 2 hours between each meal. Those are the rules. Meal 1 of the first day, bananas. Typically, I would enjoy these with some coffee. It just goes together, it pairs well. But no, I need to wait at least 2 hours after eating this until I can have coffee. Yeah, because it's like 8 right now, I'm gonna have to wait till like 10 to have coffee. That's insane. Let's get this going. So the idea is simple. Eating only one ingredient per meal only requires my body to deal with digesting that one ingredient. So it should be easier on my digestion. Also, with isolating single ingredients per meal, if I felt strange afterwards, then maybe I could isolate that ingredient and determine maybe I have some kind of sensitivity to that ingredient for future reference. So I started my first meal off on the first day with 3 bananas. First meal donezo, 3 bananas minus this little piece because of that little thing sticking out that just had me super grossed out. Anyways, T-minus 2 hours until I can have any other ingredient, and that is going to be black coffee. For some reason that was really banana-y. Usually I eat that slower. So why 2 hours between each meal? Well, that is the general recognized minimal time it takes for gastric emptying. In fact, according to my research, with most meals, it typically takes around 4 hours for 90% of the food to leave the stomach. So if I could push the gap between my meals longer, that might be better, but I figured with these simple meals, they would probably digest faster. So therefore, I determined 2 hours to be my minimum time. But let me tell you, waiting 2 more hours until I had any coffee was quite grueling. Oh, yes! Longest 4 minutes ever. Let's get this. Oh, I'm so addicted to this burnt bean soup. That's good. Well, what about some protein, bro? Well, according to my monomeal rules, I had to wait at least another 2 hours before I would take any in. But it would actually end up being longer than that because I decided to get in a workout. First, some calisthenics that I've been working on reviving, then a short trampoline session, finished up with a 2-mile adventure run. Ugh. So I just finished up a workout with a run about 2 miles. Honestly, overall the workout was mediocre at best. I am used to having a small breakfast, so it was nothing crazy out of the ordinary, but I felt like I could have benefited more if I had a little bit of protein. But still, overall, nothing severely difficult yet. I do fear, however, it is about to get a lot more difficult going into dinner time and whatnot. So I'm gonna go home, take a shower, and then I'm gonna have my next mono meal. What is protein? What is carbs? What is only one ingredient? Peas. So boiled peas, if I didn't say so already in the voiceover, I am allowed to have water, but I am going to try my best to minimize water during my meals. In fact, I'm gonna try my best not to drink water at all during my meals, but if water is like in the meal to make the meal, that's okay. But yes, I decided for my next mono meal, peas, green peas. They're protein, they're carbs, basically no fat. I would assume that would be a perfect post-workout meal. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Just give it a try. I am pretty hungry, so that first bite was not bad, but we'll see how I feel when I get to the bottom of this bowl. Another thing that's important to realize, sticking to my mono meal goal, if I wanted to only have one ingredient per meal, that means I couldn't add any seasoning, sauces, or even salt. Now with salt being an important electrolyte, me not adding any salt to my meals, after engaging in physical activity, well, would I run into any hydration problems later? This was a minor concern and something I would monitor along the way, but for the time being, the meal just tasted very plain. Some hot sauce would be nice, but not that bad. All right, I got work to do. Mono meal number whatever it is, just ground beef. So it's already been over 2 hours since the peas, and it'll probably be at least 15 minutes before I start eating this. So I've been hydrating with water because I've been really thirsty, but I don't want to mix too much water with my food because I want to maximize digestion and my stomach acid. Hydrate in between, but not too close to the meals because water absorbs fast, and so there's not food in my stomach. So regarding water and monomeals, I came to the conclusion the idea is to drink water in between the meals in order to hydrate properly, but try to avoid drinking water during the meals because the water would then dilute the stomach acid, and that might not be optimal for digestion. And this is all about optimizing digestion. Oh, there's a piece of hair in it. That's not a monomeal. I have cooked a total of 2 pounds raw, whatever that equates to cooked. Now me, I'm typically used to eating something like this with like rice beans, like tacos, some kind of like a Mexican style flavor. But yeah, this is just plain beef, no seasoning, not even salt. So 2 pounds of beef might seem like a lot, but when you're only eating beef, it's not that much volume. However, something I started to notice when I went back for my second bowl without any seasoning or salt, I felt like I got sick of it faster, or I just got satisfied faster, like I didn't want to eat anymore, when typically I would definitely eat more. And typically being used to eating bigger dinners with many ingredients, this is where things started to get difficult for me. I was satisfied from the beef, but I felt like I wanted carbs or something fresh. But I had to push through at least 2 more hours before I could eat anything different. So it has been a grueling 2 hours since the beef. So I've really been craving a few things, but really I've been craving something fresh right now, like really, which is why I'm having fresh orange slices instead of rice like I was planning. Oh my gosh. Oh man, that's so good. Oh man, that is so good. It goes straight to my brain. Now something very interesting after this meal is because I had to wait 2 hours before having any other different ingredient, well, I thought I would still be hungry later. But during those 2 hours, all of a sudden I was overtaken with this satisfaction and was able to actually call it a day here. A satisfaction that I wouldn't have felt as quickly if I was just mixing all my foods together. Recalling meals from previous days, I was definitely eating more calories per meal when I would have multiple ingredients. And my mixed meals were also more filled with empty carbs. And then for my after dinner snacks, it would be something with multiple ingredients, I'm embarrassed to admit, like these cookies. But because I had to keep it simple with these mono meals and slow down, I was realizing I was actually becoming satisfied on less calories. It just took a little bit more time than I thought. A little groggy this morning. This is my first meal. It's coffee. I'm sorry, I had to go for it. But you know what? I'm also going to change the rules up today. I figure because liquid digests so quickly that if I have coffee, I'm going to just wait at least 15 minutes before having a solid meal. So I'm going to have my coffee first, then I'm going to actually have some food. What I'm going to have, I'm still trying to figure out. Maybe I'm just going to go back to bananas again. I don't know. Oh, anyways, I'm down 3 pounds. It's probably from the no salt, basically. No added salt. I don't know if that's sustainable though, because I know sodium is like a nutrient that is an electrolyte essentially, so, but meat I think has natural salt. Foods have natural salt in them, just not a lot. Yeah, we're gonna see. Am I gonna have to have a meal that is salt? I don't know. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna get to work. Ah, the great added salt debate. While some people think adding salt is great for athletic performance and optimized daily function, others would argue adding salt is pointless. Myself, I'm actually someone who lands in between. Regardless, with this experiment being mono meals, unless I was eating salt as a meal, I wasn't going to have any added salt. The only question is, would this be sustainable? Only time would tell. So I just finished my 2 bananas for my mono meal. Why not 3? Let's just say I'm bananaed out. Okay, 2 hours from now, I'm gonna have, I guess, lunch, because that's what time it will be. Also, I'm not working out today. Psych! So it has been well over 2 hours since the bananas. Today was supposed to be a rest day, but I got started on filming something for a video coming in the future, top secret, but it requires some physical activity. I felt really good, so I was like, all right, let's have a trampoline session. I did that, then I'm like, let's go on a short jog in the woods. And I did that, and I feel really good. Maybe I'm speaking too soon, but I feel like my inflammation feels down. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking, maybe it's not just all these old accumulating injuries, but maybe my diet has been getting poorer, and that's been playing a factor into why I've been getting inflamed or so like achy and feeling over the last couple of months. Because right now, today, like, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. So, you know what? I decided if it ain't broke, let's not fix it, right? What that means, I'm just dittoing yesterday. Next meal, peas, then beef, then Oranges. I felt so good on day 2, I figured why change anything? So once again, an entire bag of peas. About 3 hours later, 2 bowls of beef, which equated to about 1.5 pounds of beef raw. And then about 2 hours later, 4 oranges. It's like hijacking a soccer mom's van and taking her snacks. Good morning, it's day 3. Here's the dealio. Since last night, the muscle in my leg has been just twitching away. It's like my hamstring area, just like a, like a muscle twitch basically. I'm guessing, maybe a slight electrolyte deficiency, probably sodium. So you'd be thinking like, oh dude, bro, monomeal, have a pickle. It's got tons of salt, but a pickle isn't a monomeal. It's not just cucumbers, it's cucumbers, water, distilled white vinegar,
dehydrated garlic, calcium chloride, natural flavors, turmeric extract.
Too many ingredients, not a monomeal. So like I need a 1 ingredient food that actually has sodium. What about eggs? Dude, I actually got some eggs here. Can you believe it? Oh, there is 70 milligrams of sodium per egg apparently. First meal is gonna be some eggs. And how am I gonna do that? I'm gonna hard boil them. I thought beef had natural sodium too. I just don't think it's enough maybe. I'm used to having more. Maybe my body just needs to adapt. While I'm doing my best to hard boil and crack these eggs, something you may have noticed is I haven't talked about supplements. That's because I actually decided not to take any supplements this week. I really wanted to be a purist with this monomeal experiment, and the supplements that I was taking, even the ones that were single ingredients like Tomcat, actually had other ingredients in them. Not just the capsule itself, but like rice bran as a filler, which I know is probably negligible, but like I said, I just really wanted to stick to the monomeal rules. Let's crack one of these puppies open. Not the most colorful egg on the inside. Wow, that tastes good. Wow. Why would that even be good, you ask? It's plain. You know what? Maybe I'm building like a very high sensitivity to anything with a little bit of salt in it, because that tastes so good. Yes, for real, it was crazy. It was like my taste buds were like blossoming. Ew. But you know what I'm saying. It's like I could taste the salt that was naturally in the eggs. Something I would have previously felt was just like so plain. It had a full body of flavor, if that makes sense. And I'm wondering, after these 3 days of eating so simply, if I was starting to regain sensitivity in my taste buds that I lost over time from overstimulating them with today's commercial overstimulating foods. But then, very interesting, after eating these eggs, something I noticed that I haven't noticed yet with any other monomeal. Feels like I've been a little bit stuffier after eating those eggs, and I'm wondering, did I just identify a potential food sensitivity that I have with eggs? Or at least cooked eggs, at least hard-boiled eggs? I don't know. Like I'm feeling the nasal drip. Anyways, it's been well over 2 hours, about 3 hours actually now, and I'm on to my next monomeal. Just rice. So yes, I noticed after eating the eggs, I felt like I was stuffier all of a sudden. Do I perhaps have a food sensitivity to eggs? And did eating monomeals perhaps help me identify that so that I know better how to tailor my diet for the future? Anyways, for my next monomeal, enjoying a plain plate of white rice. And then a few hours later, a quick store trip, no hot sauce included. I actually picked up a whole chicken, cut it up, and baked it plain. And the wife is eating this. All that is buffalo sauce on there, and I can like smell it throughout the entire household, like almost like taste it. But I'm left with my plain chicken right here. I'll take in a smell of yours, like, and then take a bite of my chicken. Yeah. Well, I do have to say, I did feel, along with my taste, that my smell was like extra sensitized as well. I could almost taste through my nose my wife's buffalo seasoned chicken while I ate my plain chicken, which was actually pretty good, by the way. And then a few hours later, to cap off the night, I had my final monomeal of 4 more oranges. Now, day 4 is where things started to get a little grim. After my basic monomeal breakfast of bananas, I went to the gym to train plyometrics and some other calisthenics. Now, even though I was down in weight and felt way less achy in the joints, probably from cutting sugar and other junk food, my workout energy and muscle contractions felt not good at all. The amount of effort I can put into each exercise, it just seems like it's capped below. Like I'm like trying to do jump squats and I'm like, yeah. So maybe the lack of sodium and or other electrolytes was actually really catching up with me, because I just felt off this entire day, not just the workout, but wanting to have an actual meal and not just eating grains of salt. For my next monomeal, I had avocado. I'm gonna cut it up actually. Tastes better cut up. I know it's probably not the most optimal post-workout meal and way less protein than peas, but dang, this actually tasted so good. Now, something interesting I really started to notice by the end of day 4 is my skin complexion looked better. I had more what felt like blood flow to the surface of my skin, my face. I had more color, and that's without taking astaxanthin, might I add. Because like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't taking any supplements. Regardless, this was an encouraging correlation I was noticing, and it helped me stay motivated to continue to eat super simply and boring throughout the end of day 4. Like, I'm really feeling a lack of energy and like kind of almost brain sluggishness, which is interesting because on the first 2 days I was feeling really good. I don't know, man. I'm just really like, I just want something. I just want some different. I want something different. I want some food that's more than one thing. I'm just feeling really not mentally sharp today and not a lot of energy today. But on the contrary, I have been noticing my like skin complexion actually looks extremely good relative to me. And I noticed like my jawline looks more defined, and I think that's from losing that excess like water weight that I've been dropping these last couple of days. I am down in weight, nearly 6 pounds as of this morning. So yeah, I don't know, this might end up being a work week challenge, and maybe tomorrow I'm gonna start introducing slightly more complex meals, but not as junky as I was before, and then maybe documenting that process to see the switch over back to maybe things with like a little bit of salt in them. Because dude, like yesterday and then today it's getting worse, like my energy and like my muscle contractions just feel like subpar. Feeling this lack of energy also had me wondering if it wasn't just the lack of sodium, but perhaps was I also in a significant calorie deficit? Because one thing I must note is that during these mono meals, only having one ingredient that wasn't seasoned and had no added sugar, well, as you might expect, I got sick of eating that same food at each meal and was not eating as many calories as I typically would at each meal. And even though some days I was eating more meals than I would on others, maybe overall still the calories weren't as much as I normally was used to. So was I just in a significant calorie deficit over these 5 days and now feeling the impact of that added up? This plus way less sodium than I was used to, well, was it causing me to feel really tired and sluggish? Maybe, and that is why the next day I decided to end the mono meal experiment and see what finally combining ingredients would do to my body and energy levels. But first, let's take a look at the before and afters. Down a little over 6 pounds after only 5 days, you can literally see the differences. Not only around my waistline, but also around my jawline. And also, like I mentioned earlier, my overall skin complexion just looks different. It looks like there's more blood flow and I look less sickly, if that's the right word. Now, I do think a lot of this weight is loss of water weight from eating way less sodium than I was used to, but I do also think there is a little bit of body fat loss. I also should mention I did feel way less inflamed or like achy in the joints overall. This is probably due to eating only one ingredient per meal, choosing pretty decent meals, cutting out basically all the junk food that I was eating before. Anyways, now I was really craving something more than one ingredient and with a little bit of salt. So what did I choose my first meal to break this mono meal fast? 5 days of only one ingredient per meal. This is gonna be the first thing I break. I typically like to eat light in the morning because I am planning to work out today. It's just what I want right now. But yeah, anyways, this is, you know, it's not too complex. Just protein powder and a coconut yogurt plain. Shoot, here we go. I'm like nervous. What am I expecting? You know. Okay, here we go. Wow. That's so much saltier and sweeter than I remember it being. Is there sodium in that? Is there sodium?
310
per scoop? Mm-hmm. I can like taste that. I never tasted that before. A very light breakfast, but it was something I'm used to eating for breakfast and really enjoy. But this time, after eating only mono meals for 5 days, the flavor of this was out of bounds. I could taste like almost the individual salt grains. Also, the sweetness and flavor was just enhanced. And interestingly enough, after eating this, I felt like my energy was coming back alive. Now, after this, I did mix up one of my intra-workout concoctions to take with me to the gym, and then going into my gym session, my workout felt significantly better again. And afterwards, the pump was back. Later that day, excited to eat more ingredients than just one per meal, I had a basic plate of chicken, rice, beans, some cut up celery, and onion. Now, this was something I'd consider pretty bland and basic before, but the flavor of this plate after 5 days days of monomeals was out of bounds, brother. I then had another one of these plates later for dinner, and just with that, waking up the next morning up nearly 2 pounds, and looking like my body did respond to that added salt. Now this added sodium thing is actually something I want to explore further, so stay tuned for a future video. But let me know what you thought of this monomeal experiment, and stay tuned, more videos coming out. I hope you all have a great day. Peace. I will see you all in the next video.